Hello, and welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. You might wonder, what the heck is this abomination? Well, I've got a custom battle set up, but we're not actually going to play a battle. We're going to do a little bit of science. Because there's something I want to find out. And the subject of today's experiment is fuel. And this is spurred on by yesterday's Shipyard Champions, where if you saw Stealth 17's video, all of his ships started out with low fuel in a custom battle. He had his range set to minimum, which is fair enough, but let's see what the tech tip tells us about operational range. Operational range measured how far the ship can travel far away from friendly ports without refueling, and is determined by the ship's fuel storage. As technology develops, the engine's fuel consumption becomes more efficient, blah blah blah. Minimum operation range limits the ship to coastal defense and standard naval duties, while a higher range gives the capability to participate in distant naval raids. Now, this is all like campaign stuff. If you've played a campaign, you kind of know how this works. More range means that your ships can travel further on the campaign map before getting into low fuel state, which makes them really slow. So that's what it's there for. And for the most part in the campaign, it works as intended. You know, fair enough. But what is the purpose of this slider even in custom battles? Well, if you max it out, your ship weighs more. So typically, in custom battles, you tend to just min-max it, put it at minimum. And according to common knowledge, it had no effect in custom battles. So you just set it at minimum. Except sometimes it does. And I want to know if that is intentional, if it's actually a game mechanic that is working as intended, or if it's a random bug. So I've designed 4 ships here. And also, I want to know if when you do get low fuel on your ships in custom battles, is that determined by the actual range in kilometers, or where you have the range slider set to. So, this battleship, I've got the range slider maxed out. However, I did everything wrong when designing it, so the range is still only less than 5,000 kilometers, which is kind of short. Next ship I've made is kind of the opposite. It's a battlecruiser. Range is set to minimum. You can see it's kind of slow for a battlecruiser. It's got a whole ton of funnels. And the range, even though it's at minimum, it's at almost 44,000 kilometers. So, which of these are going to go into battle on low fuel? The ship with very long range, but the slider is set to minimum? Or the ship with terrible range, but the slider set to maximum? Let's find out. Also, I've got a heavy cruiser, range set to maximum, very good range, almost 90,000 kilometers, which is completely excessive. This is one of the control ships. If this goes into battle on low fuel, we've got a problem on our hands, because this should not go into a custom battle on low fuel. The other control, the last control, is this light cruiser. Range is set to minimum. It's terribly designed. It's got terrible range, 3,000 kilometers. Now let's launch and just see what happens. We're fighting a single DD. It doesn't matter. Okay. Battleship It had a range set to maximum, but terrible range. Is on low fuel. Check. Battlecruiser, range set to minimum, but very good range, 44,000 kilometers. Not on low fuel. The controls. Heavy cruiser, range set to maximum, 90,000 kilometer range. Not on low fuel. Light cruiser on low fuel, as expected. So, yeah. It seems it's based on range and not where you have the slider set to. So let's relaunch. I've got a little paper spreadsheet in front of me here, so I can tick the boxes and see if it's repeatable. Probably shouldn't have set the weather to random. Battleship, low fuel. Battlecruiser, not on low fuel. Heavy cruiser, not on low fuel. That's one of the controls. Light cruiser, low fuel. Let's go again. Battleship, low fuel. And I'm writing on the back of an old power bill envelope, as is my my custom. Battlecruiser, not on low fuel. Heavy cruiser, not on low fuel. Light cruiser, low fuel. I've got my spreadsheet extended to 5 attempts here, so we're gonna do this 2 more times. Let's see how repeatable this is. So far it seems repeatable and things seem to be working as I expected it to. Battleship, low fuel, check. Battlecruiser, not on low fuel, check. Heavy cruiser, not on low fuel. Light cruiser, low fuel. And the last time. Battleship, low fuel. Battlecruiser, not on low fuel. Heavy cruiser, not on low fuel. There's the light cruiser, and it's on low fuel. So, same result all 5 times. Yeah, it does seem that it's based on the range set in kilometers, not your where you got the slider set to. Now let's find out. Let's use the battleship as our guinea pig. Let's set the it's got 5,000, so we know that's a low fuel state. Let's set it to minimum. Let's get up to 5,000 kilometers. On minimum first. Let's just play with the range slider. 5,000, okay. Let's see here. 5K. And again, let's I'm expecting it to be on low fuel. It is on low fuel. Yes. Let's go up to 6K. Back to rebuild ship. And the easiest way to adjust this is just to adjust the speed slider. There you go, 6,000 kilometers. So I want to find out where the cutoff is for... It's not on low fuel. Let's see, can we enter a low fuel state during the battle? Because 6,000 kilometers seem to be enough to not go into battle low on fuel. Go away, little DD. I don't want to play with you. That's what I get for, I put radar on my ship, didn't I? So 6,000 kilometers seems to be enough. How about 5.5? Let's take this off. Five and a half. Low fuel. Okay. Now let's bump this up to just under 6,000 kilometers. Is that the cutoff point? Is it 6,000 exactly? Send all my bolts home. I took my radar off, so we should not be spotting that pesky DD. Let's see, is it possible to run out of fuel? Should have been fighting a single transport instead. Low fuel, yes. So at 5.9, 20 minutes into the battle, well, 19 basically, the battleship ran out of fuel. Let's see here. Low after 20 minutes. Aha! Now, where exactly is that cutoff point? Let's try 5.7. 5.717. I am learning something here, I think. I hope you guys are learning something too. It is now on low fuel at the start. So basically what we found is that at 6,000 kilometers worth of range, you do not enter the battle low on fuel. However, you do run out of fuel pretty quickly. Let's try 5.840. It is not on low fuel, but we've started with less fuel than last time. So I'm expecting around 10 minutes into the battle we should run out. It's already low on fuel. It's not blinking low fuel. Yes, there it is. $10. Let's try that again. Was the speed limited at the start? I didn't notice. So Freddy here can now do 28 knots. Five minutes into the game, speed becomes limited to 18. And we don't have the low fuel. There we go. Just had to unselect it and select it. Yeah. So it took a couple of minutes in game for the low fuel warning to actually show up, but the speed reduction was only after 5 minutes in game. So yeah, I think we've learned something here. I think we've learned something. Let's bump the range up to 7 kilometers, like so. And let's see how long we can sail around before getting low fuel. Like, is 7,000 kilometers, is that a useful range? I should just get rid of the rest of the fleet here, because they're kind of oh, we are heading away from the DD, that's good. Come here, Leipzig. So, I will be with you when this thing runs out of fuel. Alright, we are back. My my light cruiser control ship accidentally got sunk by the DD. I forgot to send it facing away from the DD. Doesn't matter. It's not important. But what matters is the Kaiser Friedrich is low on fuel. I think I missed the exact point at where it happened. I think it was at around the 9-hour mark. So 1 hour into the game. So at 5.8 kilometer range, let's see here, go back to the builder. With a range of 5.8 kilometer, let me find it here. Basically, I think it was that. It ran out of fuel after 5 minutes. Yeah, it was 5.840. So that was enough for 5 minutes of fuel, which means I think it spent around about 5,800 kilometers worth of range getting to the battle. When I increased the operational range to 7 kilometers, it had fuel for an hour. So yeah, let's round this up to 6 kilometers. That's basically 6,000 kilometers. At 6,000 kilometers range, you got fuel for a couple of minutes. At 5.9, it went low on fuel after 20 minutes. So 6 kilometers, not enough. 6,000 kilometers, sorry, not enough, really. You get enough fuel to not be on low fuel at the start of the battle, but if you're gonna do anything in battle, you're gonna be low on fuel very, very quickly. 7,000 kilometer range, that gives you fuel for an hour of sailing around. So basically, it seems like in custom battles, conclusion, well, working hypothesis, let's call it a conclusion, let's call it a scientific proven fact. In custom battles, you spend around 5,800 kilometers worth of range getting to the battle. From there on out, you spend around 1,000 kilometers worth of range every in-game hour sailing around. I'm sure it might vary a bit based on your speed, but and cruising speed probably. But yeah, I would conclude that if you wanna not run out of fuel in custom battles, in Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, try to have like 10,000 kilometers range on your ship, and it shouldn't spawn in low on fuel. I think our first tests proved that it only happens when your range is actually very poor, and you shouldn't run out of fuel during the battle, and well, unless it lasts what, 5 hours. Well, actually, then 10,000 kilometers range, if my estimate is anything close to correct, that would be around 4 hours in-game worth of fuel. So, should be enough in most cases, but if you're going to play a very long game, you might even want more than that. This is horribly optimized for fuel range. Something like the Battlecruiser here should never ever run out of fuel in a custom battle. Like, this is way more than it ever needs. Yeah, I learned something. I hope you did too. I hope this this could be useful. It seems to me that low fuel, entering low fuel in custom battles, it might actually not be a bug. It might be an intended game mechanic that is just not explained anywhere in the ship designer. It probably should be. That, yeah, like I get this is for campaign use. It's pretty self-explanatory, but nothing in the game explains to me that, yeah, your ship burns 5,800 kilometers worth of range getting to the custom battle. But now we know that is, well, it at least seems to be the case. Goodbye, and take care.